Good morning, friends. Today I'm going to be making what I'm calling the curtains purse, and you see it on the screen there. It's going to be available in 6 by 10 and probably later this week 8 by 12. And so let me explain. I call this part the curtains themselves, and this part the scene, because it'd be like you would be looking through the curtains and see what was outside. So keep that in mind, because when we start to put the fabric on shortly, that'll play a part. I have run the first step here, which is the placement for just the general outline of the bag and the placement for the zipper, which you will center your zipper between these two lines where my finger is running. So let's go over to the cutting table and take care of that. Okay, you can see that I have taped down my zipper here at the bottom. I barely can see right here at the middle and at the top, and I'm going to take this to the machine and run the next step, which will tack this, sew this down. So I'll meet you over at the machine. Okay, I'm back, and you can see barely, since it's dark red thread, the where I have sewn the zipper down. And the next step we're going to do is take and turn the hoop over and place our first piece of lining, which is cut 7 by 11 to give us plenty of room. So you want to take it, and we've got 3 lines here. This bottom line, you want to take and place the lining about 1/4 inch below this third line here. So you got 1 at the top, 2 and 3, so about 1/4 inch, about where my finger's at. So let's do that. Okay, and it's fine on the sides. Here's one side and here's the other. So let's tape that down. Alright, now take and lift the hoop up and let the lining fabric just kind of fall to the front, and grab a piece of tape and take this piece of lining and fold it a time or two. It's always wanting to misbehave. Oh, come on. Well, let me see if I can get this down here. Okay. Well, alright, let me grab another piece of tape. Alright, so that's out of the way. We won't need that for another 4 or 5 steps. And then take your front fabric. This is a fabric that's going to be actually what I call the scene, where you look through the curtains and see what's going on. And I'm just going to use a pretty piece of this beautiful piece of fabric here, Christmassy fabric that I used in my snowflake design. So take it, and now you can place it, the edge of it, along the edge of the zipper itself, or just right at the edge of the zipper. So let's take and do that. Alright, now let's take and I'll put one in the middle too, one on and one on each side. Alright, that's not good. Wait a minute. Alright, I think that's better. Okay, let's take this to the sewing machine or the embroidery machine, and it will run a line of stitches right through here, and sewing down the top piece of fabric here and the bottom and the lining on the other side of the hoop. So let me do that, and I'll be right back. Alrighty, you see that the sewing has taken place here along in the front here, and then make sure you always turn it over to see if the sewing took place. Yes, it's crooked, but it doesn't matter, it's on it. So that's sewed down. So back to the front, and this is going to be a 6x10 purse. I cut all of my fabrics and batting 7x11, except for one of the two pieces of batting I cut 6x11, because I'm going to take it, and here it is. I'm using this odd fabric as batting, so I'm going to place it right under, about a 1/4 inch under this line here, line of sewing, and smooth it out, and take and pull your main fabric over it like this, and then take this to the sewing machine and give this a good pressing, because you want a nice crease right here. So I'll do that, and I'll meet you back in a moment. Okay, I'm back, and I have given this a nice crease along here. I actually almost melted my zipper, which I don't think has ever happened before. It started smelling, and I see that it's got some pushed down some here, but I tried it and it actually still works, but that's a first. So now we're going to take it to I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and the embroidery machine, and it's going to stitch along the top here, down the sides, along the bottom, back up the other side. So let me do that, and I'll be back in a moment. Alright, I'm back, and you can see where the machine did the sewing in red here, or maroon, all around the four sides, thereby tacking this top down so it can't move, because we're going to start doing the applique, and there's a lot of stitches involved there. The next thing that will be done is I've changed my thread to gold, which is what I want to use from now on, and the next thing is there will be a line put right along here, and there will be later satin stitches there, but for now there'll just be one line, and then we're going to take and put what will be the curtains themselves. We're going to put that over the entire design and then tack that down. But first things first, let me go do this one line here that will go right along where my finger is. So be right back. Okay, you can see here the gold line right here that was just stitched as a placement line, basically. So we're going to take our piece, I'm going to take my piece of vinyl, red vinyl, and place it, well, I'm going to place it over the entire, that's fine, over the entire design, and then the next row of stitches will go right over there to tack it down. So let me go and do that, and I'll be back in a moment. Alrighty, now you can see where the line has been sewn through there, sewing down this top piece of vinyl, and I'm going to now take it, go to the cutting, or go to my kitchen table and cut right along here all the way across on this side where my finger is, not down here but on this side. So let me do that, and I'll be back in a moment. Alright, you can see now I have cut this very close. I can see some of the fabric underneath, which is not what I wanted to see. So I guess I didn't pull that down taut enough, but anyhow, it is what it is. So this next thing will be the actual satin stitching right along here, and I'll do that and be right back. Okay, as you can see, the satin stitching has been done, and the next thing to do is going to be a line will run showing where the curtains will be, and then I will take that and immediately trim that. So let me do that, and I'll be back. I'll be back before I trim it, actually, to show you what it looks like. Okay, you can see that I have run the what would be the placement stitch. Actually, there's just the placement and the tie down. I'm considering the same thing. It's just one step. And it's only one step because this was already placed down. It wasn't like it needed an extra, a placement step to begin with. So it's just really a step to show where, where to cut, but it sews it down at the appropriate place. So I'm going to take my scissors here, and I'm going to cut straight across here and up and so on. And then at the end we'll have this big piece in the center to remove, like this and on another one I had done. So make sure you cut to remove the center. Don't cut on this side of the stitch line. Cut here in the center. So let me do that, and I'll be back in a moment. Alright, you see it now. It's been cut out, and I'm going to do the next step, which will be the actual satin stitches, and it will cover up all the raw edges of the vinyl. So let me do that, and I'll be back in a bit. Alright, as you can see here, as I've taken it off the machine, it did a beautiful job, and the only little problem I want to work on is I do have some of the okay, I do have some of the vinyl showing right there, but other than that, it's perfect. So the next step we're going to do, let me get over to the computer and show you. Okay, let me put this back on the machine so I don't have to get up again. Okay, now we're going to do the actual curtains, and the next step will be, I put these in two separate steps in case you didn't want to stitch both of them. So this smaller side here and here will be the next step, and then after that, this up here, these two pieces. So this piece is separated from this piece in case you didn't want to do both of them. I'm going to do both of them. I think they're really pretty. So I'm going to start and just run those two, the next two steps, which are steps 11 and 12. So I'll do that, and when it's finished I'll show you, and then the bag itself will almost be finished. There'll just be two or three other steps after that. So let me take care of this, and I'll be back momentarily. Alright, now you can see that for the most part the bag is done. Now we just have to do there's a few items of sewing left. The next thing we'll do is take and finally release this top piece and let it fall over to the back side. So let me, okay. Alright. And I want to remove these pieces on the side if possible. I'm not going to worry about the one in the middle, but anyhow, take and pull this down as taut as possible, which isn't that taut, unfortunately, but it's good enough. Okay, and then I'm just going to use this tape that I had on before. Hopefully it will hold. Okay. Alright, I'm going to put this back on the machine, and it's going to stitch around like it did earlier. It's going to stitch right below the zipper all around, and it'll secure that back piece of lining. So let me see if I can do this one-handed. I did, but it wasn't. That got caught. Okay. Anyhow, here we go. And away we go. So I'll meet you back in a moment. Alright, you can see that, or maybe you can't, but I did run the last step, and it's gone all the way around on the four sides. But you can tell on the back that it has secured this piece down, which was the main function of this particular step. Alright, we're going to turn it back to the front, and we're going to remove this piece of tape over here, and we're going to open the zipper about 3/4 of the way to 2/3 of the way. Okay. Alright, and now we're going to take our little pieces of, I already made the one. This is simply about, well, I cut it at least 3 inches long and 3/4 inches wide, and I placed these about an inch inside the outer stitch line on both sides. Actually, I'm going to just let it rest there against the edge of the hoop. And alrighty, and be sure and do this part also so it doesn't, the metal part, so it doesn't wiggle around and get up under the presser foot somehow, because I've had that happen. And see, I just take a strip, roughly, I don't know, this one maybe, they're both the same size, but I try to do 3 inches long by 3/4 inches wide, and put the ring through it, and I take and just hold them together nice and even, which I can't do with one hand. Then I just take and I staple them at the very top to hold them in place, so I have to put the phone down to do that. Well, okay, you can see that I've placed those they're connectors to put on a strap, like a crossbody strap. And anyhow, so let's take our other piece of main fabric, which will end up on the back, place it face down, cover the entire design, and make sure that you're at least 1/4 inch over the top of the zipper, the edge of the zipper, and which we are, and we're fine down at the bottom. And take your other piece of what is it? 7 by 11, yes, 7 by 11 batting, or what I'm using for batting, and place that on top of that back exterior piece, and take it to the machine and sew this all down. This will close everything up on all sides. So let's do that. Alright, you can see that all 4 sides have been closed up. It's not easy to see, but the stitching is there. And now the last step for sewing is turn the hoop over to the back side and take your other piece of last of the 2 pieces of lining, place it face down over what's already there, and just again make sure that it covers the zipper by at least 1/4 inch. You can tell where the zipper is, so just make sure it covers it, and it's fine here at the bottom. So anyhow, let me tape that down. Well, it's not wanting to cooperate very well. Okay, now I'm going to take it to the machine, and it's going to go, and it's going to leave an area here at the bottom open, so I can stick my hand in to turn the bag. So let me go and run this last step, and I'll be back in a moment. Okay, you can maybe see the sewing here, and you can tell that right here there's been a space left open for my hand. So I'm going to take and remove this from the hoop. The sewing has been completed, and let me see if it'll just, there's that piece of tape there. Okay, now what I'm going to do is take my scissors, and I'm going to start right here, 1/4 inch away from the stitch line, all the way around, up at the top, along the other side, and end up right here where the stitching stops. And I'll show you what to do after that. Alrighty, I have done my cutting. You see I've done about 1/4 inch around the top, sides, and on the bottom I cut it at an angle. Now what I'm going to do now is take the two pieces of lining fabric, which we want to keep, pull them back. You see the stitch line right there. Pull these back, and then take your scissors and just cut about 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch above the stitch line, making sure you don't cut these two pieces off, because all of this stuff here is junk. It's to be thrown away. It's serving no purpose at this point. So let's do that cutting, and I'll be back in a moment. Alright, as you can see, I trimmed that off. Now I'm going to set the phone down and turn the bag. There are 2 turns. This is the turn number 1. Turn the bag out through here. Unfortunately, I can't do it with one hand, but I'll see you in just a moment. Alright, I've turned it out. What you should see on both sides is whatever lining fabric you're using. Now you need to take the shorter of the 2 pieces of lining fabric and turn it in like I'm doing, and then run your iron over this and press it down, make it a nice crease here, and then take this longer part and fold it in. It should fold in, and because of the way you cut it with the little angles here on the side, it should kind of hold itself in. Well, anyhow, turn it in as best you can, and then just for the purpose of this, assume this is all looks nice and it's perfect. Though I'm going to work on it as soon as I turn the camera off. I'm going to take it to the sewing machine after I've done a little bit of pressing, and start right here and go all the way across here to the other side where the stitching ends from here. So just make sure this is closed up, because you're closing the bottom of the bag. So go ahead and take care of that, and I'll meet you back here for the last 1 or 2 things to do. Okay, now you can see that I have closed it up, and one of the last steps we're going to take, and mine is already coming apart since I used paper towels, but take your whatever you've used as a stabilizer and remove it from the area here around the zipper, either with your applique scissors or a knife of some sort. So let me remove this from my purse, the paper towel, and I'll be back in a moment. Alright, I've removed the stabilizer from around the zipper, and now the last step is to turn it out again on the second turning through the zipper, and I'll have to do that off camera because you can see I can't do it one-handed, so I'll do that and show you what it looks like in its final form. Alrighty, it's done. I pressed it some before I put it up here. But it is finished now, and I think it looks great. If you had a scene of some sort, maybe a nature scene for the center, that would look better, but I think this is still pretty. And I hope you've enjoyed watching me make this today, and I hope if you buy the pattern, you'll make something beautiful for yourself or your loved ones. And I just appreciate you being with me today. Thank you so much, and hopefully in a day or two I'll have another design and another video to show you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.